This is war. As Belgorod border becomes a battlefield, Ukrainian command, not seeing any forward advancement, sends more troops. As a wise man once said, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing, but expecting different results. One thing is clear: Ukrainian offensive has failed and turned into a bloody mess. For more than a month, Ukrainian formations continued to try and break into the Belgorod region, ultimately only reaching the two border villages which they failed to secure. But Ukrainian command didn't give up and tried to strike at a third village in the same direction, but the attempt turned into a slaughter. Russian 34th Brigade destroys Ukrainian assault units at the Dragon's Teeth. Soldiers of the 34th Brigade are destroying Ukrainian armed forces trying to break through to the village of Popovka, for which fighting continues. Attack drone operators destroy assault groups of AFU in forest belts, in the village itself, and at the Dragon's Teeth, turning the whole thing into a massacre. The whole attempt is a bit of a déjà vu. Ukrainian command sent up to 60 battalions. 3 attack echelons attempted to take Grey Voron into control sectors. Only they never reached Grey Voron. They got stuck in border villages, lost people, equipment, and eventually retreated. It's just that Russian reconnaissance uncovered their preparations in advance. The second analogy, perhaps even more appropriate, is Krinky, a suicidal desire to maintain control over a piece of land that is absolutely hopeless from a strategic point of view. The goal is obvious: to slow down Russian advance in Sumy Oblast, to prepare a layered defense. Actually, Russian forces are currently breaking through its first line in Kursk Oblast. In Guevo, Gornali, Oleshnya, and forest belts on the border, Ukrainian command are now resisting not because they want to stay in Kursk Oblast. They have simply switched to defensive actions in the Sumy direction. This is their first line. For Russian command, the complete liberation of the Kursk region will, of course, have a symbolic meaning. In military terms, it is a breach of the Ukrainian line of defense, which will have to roll back to the next line, which is now being hastily prepared, while Ukrainian units are dying in yet another Krinky, only to buy time. To help with the assault on Belgorod, Ukrainian command transferred the infamous 47th Separate Mechanized Brigade Magura, the same one that became famous in 2023 for running through minefields during the counteroffensive and for the failures near Avdiivka. This same brigade is one of the key culprits in the collapse of the front in Osheretino and near Berdichi. Magura has also been in the Kursk region, and now it has been dragged into the light again, this time as part of the forces involved in border raids. The rotation of the brigade to the Belgorod region itself is an alarming marker. This means that the line composition of the Ukrainian armed forces is experiencing an acute shortage of fresh and trained assault units, and Magura, despite the damage to its image and demoralization, is still used as a stopgap for all raid operations. In a normal situation, it should have been withdrawn to the rear for reorganization. But now it is participating in operations that have neither operational sense nor strategic prospects. In Demidovka, Belgorod region, however, the 47th Brigade's affairs are no better than in previous sections of the front. Zelensky confirmed for the first time the Ukrainian armed forces' attempts to break through to the Belgorod region. The purpose of the sorties was stated to be the protection of the Sumy and Kharkov regions from the advance of the Russian armed forces. According to Zelensky, our presence in Kursk region and our presence in Belgorod region We continue to conduct active actions in border areas on enemy territory, and this is absolutely fair. The war must return to where it came from. Thus, the attacks of the Ukrainian armed forces on the Belgorod region were officially recognized at the very top of Ukraine, while the goal was stated to prevent the Russian army from concentrating forces for a breakthrough into the border Ukrainian regions. However, the cost of this operation, as Zelensky called it, has already exceeded the idea itself many times over. The Ukrainian armed forces lost over 100 servicemen from various assault brigades, as well as about 24 units of armored vehicles, including some that are quite scarce, in the attacks on Demidovka and Popovka, Belgorod region. However, after almost a month of heavy fighting, the AFU did not make any significant progress. This is the same situation that unfolded in Krinky in 2024, where Ukrainian command continued to send Ukrainian units into Krinky, hoping that a small bridgehead would pull Russian commanders' attention. Only in the end, Ukrainian soldiers died for nothing.